Hi again. Welcome to day 8. Day 8 of the Higgins Keto blog. And what we wanted to start first, I did not get a chance to record myself making the bread today. Today ended up being hectic would be an understatement to say the least. Matter of fact, we just got off the phone about something else. So we had a fun day. But what I did do is I brought the bread in with me. That way you could see what it looks like. I'll finish there. You see we cut off that end and actually tried it. Okay. Ooh. See, it's not thick like a regular loaf of bread, but the inside does look like a regular loaf of bread at least. So it's not going to be as high as what you'd have a normal loaf of bread would be. But we tasted it. We had. Do not do that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, please let me explain first before you look at that and go, oh, it's disgusting. No, it's not disgusting. It is the fact that the consistency, the bread tastes delicious. The consistency of that is that of cornbread. She doesn't like cornbread.
I do not like Southern cornbread.
Right. The only cornbread she likes is the one that comes out of the Jiffy box, and it's sweet.
With a Jiffy cake mix and vanilla pudding.
So she likes cake.
Yes. That tastes like
regular old Southern cornbread.
Grandma made.
That's right.
In a cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
That's
and you know what?
Tastes like.
I like that.
Oh.
So, her going... That was just her because she doesn't like it.
Yeah,
because it reminds her of the cornbread, so therefore it's an instant. I don't like it. I'm sitting here going, you know what? That is pretty good. And I'm going to sit here and go, you know what? I can make cinnamon muffins, pumpkin spice muffins,
right?
All out of this mix.
What he really means is he's going to add flavor to cornbread.
It's not cornbread. It's made with almond flour, so it's almond bread.
I know, but it tastes like cornbread.
Yeah.
However, I am going to have a slice in the morning.
Right.
If we can figure out a way to toast it so that
Yeah, because as you can see there, the slices aren't going to be toaster sized.
No. So we may have to broil it.
It might be something where we'd have to hold it upright, and so that when the thing closes, it closes on the whole.
Yeah, that's true. We could try that too. I imagined something that would be akin to bread to toast and slather butter on and eat a dipped egg. Instead, I got cornbread.
The funny thing is, we watched the video, and even in the video, the guy showed that. Yes, he did.
He never once said anything about it tasting like cornbread.
Well, no, he didn't say that.
Yes.
But he did show it that size.
Right.
But then again, most people like cornbread. Except
my wife. Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. All right, but I think it's good. So you try it. It's easy to make. What did it take? 10 minutes for me to prep it and put it in the oven?
Right.
So it wasn't hard at all. And I will try the muffins too. And I will try to record making the muffins tomorrow. Because I actually have this idea in my head of adding a couple packets of stevia to it. And then dicing up strawberries really small and make strawberry muffins out of it. Oh, yeah.
Strawberry corn muffins is what it tastes like. And it might be good. I'm just not a fan of cornbread.
Right, and that's my wife, so, I will be enjoying it while she chokes it down. So, there you go. That takes us to the second part, which we talked about yesterday that we were going to be covering today, which is the accountability partner and the relationship between the two. Like Shauna said yesterday, having someone in the house is fantastic. Going through it at the same time, dealing with the same struggles, dealing with the, you can talk back and forth. But even if it's somebody who's a couple states away or in a different country that you're doing this with, having that person and what that relationship is like or what it should be like. Now, we compare this to our relationship a lot just because of the fact that when we first got together, it was no judgment zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going to be completely honest with one another. No judgments. It doesn't matter what pops up.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to judge each other for it. Okay. And that's the same way you have to be with your accountability partner when it comes to doing something like this, is the fact that you have to be 100% honest with one another. You have to be sitting here going, okay, if I'm truly going to be held accountable, I need to be honest about what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, what I'm feeling, yakety schmackety, blah, blah, blah.
I think in that aspect, it's somewhat easier when you do have somebody that is within the household, mainly because you can't really hide things from one another in that aspect. Whereas in a relationship with somebody, like say Facebook, for example, it's a little easier to hide in terms of what it is that you may or may not be doing.
Right.
And that's where the whole accountability, the honesty piece comes into play. Being honest in terms of whether or not you met your macros or you're struggling. The key to being honest is truly being able to let your hair down, so to speak.
Right.
Get that feedback from someone else, that source of encouragement, or that sense of relief of, oh my gosh, okay, so it's not just me. I'm not the only one that is struggling. And with that, you then are able to comfort one another, so to speak, or, cheer one another on, or,
right.
To tell someone, you know what, you have this. I'm right there with you. You can do this. Don't give up, that type of thing. So
absolutely.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and if you are lucky enough to be doing this with your spouse or your significant other, one of the things too is we're constantly talking about each other's health.
Mm.
And I'll say, okay, hey, I'm feeling this, and she'll, obviously she's a nurse, so she automatically starts thinking about the medical reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
But she'll bring things up to me, and I'll be sitting there going, okay, where you at here? Where you at here? Are you getting all your nutrients? Like the other day, she had not been getting the protein she needed. Today, she still didn't get all the protein she was supposed to have. However, she was at least in the high 90s versus being in the 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a bonus. And that's because of that mushroom stuff with roast beef and cheese.
Very tasty. Very
so yeah, so that does a lot better when and I think what it is she's going to have to let me know the kinds of food she enjoys, and that she wants to eat in order for this to work, where we get closer and closer to the macros that she's supposed to have for this.
And that makes sense. This is part of the reason as to why we were talking the other day again about different ways that individuals choose to meal prep.
Right.
In our household, that means sitting down, looking through, menu items as to what we could actually make, so that on the day of, my husband can actually prepare it.
Right.
But for others, it could be making it Sunday night for the entire week, or making it the night before. However, it's still a matter of being able to sit down and to have that conversation.
Right. Just remember, whatever you plan, that's what you have to eat.
Right. Follow through.
Okay. And that's where we hold each other accountable, because I have literally looked across the table at her and said, babe, you have to eat it. Right. And I said, we can discuss a different menu, but right now you have to eat it.
Right.
And it's because it was the plan. It was what covers her macros. That's what we have today. And unless you want to start wasting, hundreds of dollars on food that you're throwing in the trash and you're doing something else, no, you got to eat what you put in front of yourself.
Right.
So make sure, back when I used to do personal training, which was years ago, and obviously I fell off the wagon. But I used to have a list, and it was called, I didn't call it the food list, I called it the willing to eat list that I would hand to people. And every food listed on there were foods that they were allowed to eat, but this list was everything. So literally they went through this list and circled everything that they were willing to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could come up with a meal plan based on that. And I think a lot of times we have to do that in this, is we're going to have to sit there and go, okay, babe, what are you willing to eat?
Right.
You know?
I mean, if I'm really hungry, I guess I could eat the cornbread flavored keto bread. But if I had another choice...
Well, here's what I may do, okay, when I make the muffins tomorrow. Because I'm not going to do anything fancy with the muffin. I'm just going to add some cinnamon to them tomorrow just because I like cinnamon. And what I might do is I might take the food processor and take the almond flour and grind it finer. And maybe a finer grind on it will make it a smoother texture.
I just don't understand how something so nutty can taste like corn.
It's okay, babe. It's okay. It's the combination of all the different things going together that change the flavor matrix of the actual item itself. Therefore, you come out with that.
Not that I'm picky or anything of that nature.
There's a lot of science to cooking. And that's the reason why, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of, where they say you leave something, the longer you leave it, the more the flavors marry. And that way it tastes different over time. That's what happens when you cook a recipe full of a bunch of different items. That's why you get different flavors by just adding individual items along the way, because the flavors are marrying and combining. And that's what changes the flavor matrix. But I'm not going to get into science class on cooking tonight.
And I understand that. I'm just amazed. I would think that somebody would have been a little more open about the flavor of the keto bread.
Right.
I'm just...
Okay. Like I said, I'm going to grind it finer tomorrow, see if I can get a smoother texture for my wife. And we'll go from there.
Right.
Like I said, though, I do want to reiterate, it was very easy to make.
And he did a phenomenal job. I mean, it literally looks just like the bread that we saw in a video for another couple that, they were making various keto friendly items. Right. So it looks dead on what the recipe called for. They just lacked the talking point of what it tastes like.
Probably because they just figured everybody else would like it too.
He's not met Shauna.
See, we have two worlds. There's the normal everyday world, and then there's Shauna's world.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard that.
Right, Shauna's world is I think it came out of the Twilight Zone, personally. I think it's one of these days I'm going to be laying there in bed, and I'm going to hear this in the background. I'm going to take you to a place beyond sight and sound.
This is what I have to live with.
Listen, all I can say is food is food. Okay? And yes, you do have to adapt it to you, but you know what? If you're going to be doing this keto diet, we have to make certain sacrifices.
Right.
And eat the things until we find something better.
Right.
Experimentation.
And right. This is part of why we are sharing what we're sharing with you, so that everyone is aware. I mean, I would have appreciated somebody telling me.
And for the fourth time, she's going to say this.
I'm just saying, and we'll leave it alone, but hopefully somebody will appreciate the fact that we tried it.
You know what? I think that it's pretty clear. Shauna has told all of you.
Right.
That it has the consistency and a slight flavor like cornbread.
It literally tastes like Southern cornbread made.
It's delicious.
In a cast iron skillet.
Which is delicious.
I mean, it's actually more moist.
Right.
In comparison to that.
It's delicious.
It's palatable. We'll leave it at that. I can stand to
now,
eat
I will
it.
say the small piece that because we already fulfilled I fulfilled my macros for the day, even though she was still so short on hers, so it actually probably helped her. But the small piece we did eat, we put the grass-fed butter on.
And that made it taste somewhat better.
Right. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I do love the flavor of that grass-fed Carrie's Gold
That
butter.
is, yes.
Oh yeah,
that is very, very tasty.
It is great butter.
To say the least.
It's Irish butter, which I kind of like because I'm Irish. So of course Irish are gonna make great butter. We're perfect, right? Yeah.
I'm Irish only by proxy.
Right. She's the black Irish.
Right.
Anyway, but
couldn't help himself.
Could not help it. So that's where we're at, and that's what we did today. And like I said, I'm going to try, as long as the kids and everybody else, participate tomorrow. I'm going to try to video making the muffins, even though I didn't get to video making the bread today. But at least you get to see the bread, and we have just as busy a schedule and just as hectic lives as you got.
Right.
So,
symptom-wise, I think my husband definitely, short of the kids acting like kids today while he's at home working, that kind of sapped him of his energy.
Yeah, because I was running all day. I mean, just...
And it didn't help matters that, the soon-to-be 12-year-old conveniently forgot to take his ADHD medication.
Right,
so
which made all more fun.
Right, that really put a spin on his day today. In terms of how I've been feeling, still very, very tired. Very tired. Not really sure as to whether or not it was the B vitamin or the Claritin or having...
Combination of both.
Yeah, a combination of both. Or the MCT oil in the bulletproof coffee. I'm not exactly sure, but I pretty much have the visual disturbances, technically ocular migraines.
Right.
It's the best way to describe what it is that I've been experiencing.
Yeah, she actually sent me the definition.
And I don't think I'm going to continue with the B vitamin because I'm not exactly sure if it's that or if it's the MCT oil.
So basically we're going to eliminate one thing at a time.
And try to figure out.
And see which one's causing.
Right. Because it comes on and it stays with me for about 15-20 minutes and then it's gone. But while it's there, it is so aggravating because I can't do anything. I see like halos of light that have jagged, blurred lines around it, and that makes it hard for me to read the computer screen while I'm at work. I can't see anything. But outside of that, I, so far, knock on wood, have lost a total of 10 pounds in this 8-day time frame. So,
right. I have, what is it, 6?
Mm-hmm.
I lost 6. I hit a stopping point yesterday for some reason. Haven't lost anything since then.
Is it 6 or is it 7?
6. Okay, in the morning I weigh 219, in the evening I weigh 221. So it's, if you want to average that, it's 220, which would make it 6. That's where I got that number from. I'm wondering what the stalemate is. I did start the run. Oh, I did do the run today. 2 miles. Made it all the way there, all the way back without stopping, which is a good thing. She did her, what did you do today?
T25.
T25.
Mm-hmm. It was the Speed 2.0.
Right.
So I did cardio. Tomorrow will be a HIIT, high intensity interval training. So that's what I'll be doing.
We'll see how that affects everything else that's going on. So I feel fine, other than the fact that I had to deal with a ADHD non-pilled child today. And of course all the other stressful things that happened over our day. But everything went well, and everything's tasty to me. So.
All right. Well, on that note, good night.
Good night.